have with us Dr. Ahmet Tanhan, and our topic today will be research focus, an introduction to the application of online Photovoice methodology, OPV, in Islamic psychology. Dr. Ahmed, we welcome you. And as usual, as it's part of our etiquette in ISIP, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, of course, we start all our lectures in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah that we've reached this far with our sessions. Now, as we know, today our agenda will be, of course, we're going to have the Fatiha and the welcome. As I've said before, you're all welcome, dear brothers and sisters, and to our privileged speaker of today, Dr. Ahmed. And of course, we are going to go through the guidelines. And of course, if anyone has any questions or concern, please feel free to send it in the chat. And we are also going to have the IPRN introduction and certificate of appreciation to Dr. Ahmed. And then, of course, as the biggest part of today, we have the lecture by Dr. Ahmed. And later, after the lecture, we're going to have the QA session, the questions and answers. And inshallah, we are going to go through the reflection forms as usual, and inshallah, the closing dua. Naam. And today, and just like it has always been with our first lectures, I would like to request everyone here to please turn on their cameras and please put into gallery view for better lecture session. And I would like to warn everyone and to plead everyone, please, we do not have to record or screenshot anything, because as we know, this session is going to be shared on the ISIP YouTube channel, and for everyone to be able to access and inshallah to share with others. And I would also like everyone to please keep the microphones on mute if you're not speaking. And it will be a pleasure for everyone to please rename themselves. You can put your name and the country where you're coming from. It will be a pleasure to know how many people we have from around the world. And as we said before, if anyone here has any question, any concern, or any other idea, please use the chat option for questions and any other concern. And of course, for live transcription, you can press the more option, and then you request, inshallah. Now, the IPRN, I believe we have new brothers or sisters that have just joined today. This is maybe their first lecture they have attended, but even to others that have attended other lectures, we would like to go through what IPRN is, and of course, for everyone to feel what is our mission and what do we do. So IPRN is an inclusive space designed to connect people with diverse backgrounds interested in Islamic psychology. And we aim to disseminate knowledge, share resources, and discuss best practices in a free and accessible manner. And of course, it's a platform to enable further development of people's personal and professional interests, studies, and understanding of Islamic psychology within our communities and our countries of origin, inshallah. So to our new brothers and sisters who are wondering on how they can connect with us and who would like to join the IPRN community, you can please join we have the Islamic Psychology WhatsApp group. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can follow us on Instagram. And for those who have like WhatsApp, you can scan. You can scan, and you'll be able to join our group, the IPRN info group, and you will get to know more about what IPRN is, what we do, and various projects that we're working on, and of course, how you're going to get the certificates. But we have to keep in mind that for one to get the certificate, you have to have joined or attended all the previous 3 lectures, and this is the 4th, as I've said before. And inshallah, we are having our next lecture. We're going to tell you the date, inshallah. And of course, as a privilege, and as we know, it's one of the etiquettes that we as Muslims should be practicing, is to appreciate someone who does good things for us. And it's a certificate of appreciation presented to Dr. Ahmet Tanhan in appreciation of your time and efforts and in recognition of your continuing excellence in the field of Islamic psychology. And of course, it's awarded today, the 10th of August, 2024, by the members of International Students of Islamic Psychology team. We appreciate your time. Jazakallah khair. Now, we would like to get to know who our speaker of today will be. And inshallah, we look forward to learning a lot from him, inshallah. So Dr. Ahmet Tanhan, he's a counselor in Turkey and the associate professor at Department of Psychological Counseling and Guidance in Adıyaman University, Adıyaman, Turkey. He's a doctor of philosophy in counseling and counselor education from the University of North Carolina, USA. He is a Master of Science, Clinical Mental Health Counseling from University of Rochester, New York, USA, and Bachelor of Science, Psychological Counseling and Guidance from the IG. Is that how they say, Dr. Ahmed? IG?
It's called Ege University, Ege University.
Ege.
Yeah.
Okay, from the Ege University in Izmir, Turkey. And he's also the editor for Journal of Happiness and Health and to the OPV Methodology. Got the Al-Talib Foundation Innovative Scholar Award, mashallah, at the 11th Annual Muslim Mental Health Conference 2019 at Arizona, USA. We welcome you, Dr. Ahmed. And for the brothers and sisters that would like to join our next session, we will be having our next session on the 31st of August this year, 2024, same time. So everyone will have to check their time zone, of course, 1:30 p.m. GMT. And we'll be having the speaker, Dr. Abdul Ghaffar, inshallah. We would like to invite you all for our next session, and we hope to see you all, inshallah. And in case of any feedback, please feel free to share, and any concerns, any queries, any complaints, and please make dua for us. And you can please fill out the short feedback form for us to know what we can improve on, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Dr. Ahmed, please, you can it's up to you now to start the lecture. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome, Dr. Ahmed.
Thank you so much, Sister Halima. Thank you so much. And can you see my screen for the moment?
Yes, we can. Some people are saying they can't. Dr. Nurain, can you still see it?
Probably it might take a few moments.
Well, I can see it. Maybe it's a matter of internet connections for our other brothers and sisters.
Like we can see.
Okay, so you can see, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Thank you so much, Sister Halima and Sister Yusra and all others for putting all these together. And before we start, I really want to take a moment to say, let's get a little more mindful and grounded because we are going through a very difficult time. Alhamdulillah, we are having many beauty as well, and also some very difficult moments. So I would ask all of us to take maybe about like 30 seconds to realize that we are alive still and we are taking breath and taking to Allah, saying Alhamdulillah for being able to breathe and seeing and being able to attend this lecture, being able to be together. So let's take a moment for like about 30 seconds to get grounded and realize that where you are sitting, that you are being able to see, etc. Okay, I think it was about 30 seconds. And now let's take a moment to take care of ourselves as well. When we are looking at the screen, it's always good to have water with us, to be mindful with our spirit and body as well. So I would kindly and gently ask all of us, if you have not drink water and need water, take like a few seconds to get some water, especially when we are looking at the screens and we are very into those technology nowadays. Most of our hours are into them. So it's important to remind ourselves. And let's get one step more to get grounded in very difficult moments and this very difficult process of people, our brothers, sisters, whether they are Muslims, Christians, or Jews living in Palestine, free Palestine and occupied Palestine. And let's take a moment to make a dua for them, maybe like 20 seconds, and also reciting Al-Fatiha if you are Muslim. And if you are not Muslim, you can pray for all innocent people, our martyrs in free and occupied Palestine, making some prayers, making some dua, making some good wishes for them. And yes, please let's take about 35 seconds for that. Okay, let's start. So today we are going to talk about online Photovoice and online interpretative phenomenological analysis, OPV and OIPA. And mostly we are going to focus on OPV, online Photovoice. And very briefly, we are going to talk about OIPA. So if it is very new to you, please don't just get panicked or anything like that. It takes some time. We can get in touch. We can have some further collaboration, further trainings, and we can share all published papers with you. So let's take a good deep breath and then say, Alhamdulillah, I'm gonna learn some new methodology and let's see how it's going. So currently I'm working with Adıyaman University, Al-Balkhi Institute of Islamic Psychological Studies and Research under International Students of Islamic Psychology, Economic and Social Research Center, the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, and Institute for Muslim Mental Health. And here you can see my email, my ResearchGate account, my Google Scholar account, my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as well. And I would kindly ask all of us to really have a ResearchGate and Google Scholar account. It's very rare to see our community members, especially researchers or students, having ResearchGate or Google Scholar. So it's going to be very beneficial for all of us to have a ResearchGate account and Google Scholar account. And if you open one of them and follow me, then please send me a message so I can follow you back as well, inshallah. And in general, when a person is following me and then I'm following them back for further collaboration, inshallah. Okay, so online Photovoice. How we are going to move forward, the flow of presentation is we are going to talk about OPV, OIPA, and the advantage and disadvantages of traditional Photovoice and OPV, future implications of OPV and OIPA. And if we really try to be mindful, from time to time, take some deep breath. And if you feel tired, you can just stand up and do some exercises. If you were meeting face-to-face in every 30, 40 minutes, I would invite all of us, but now we are virtually meeting. So if we attend it mindfully, probably we are going to get more out of that. The background of the presentation is green, because that's much better for most of people, not all of people, but most of people, their eye, heart, and minds are getting more relaxed when it is light green. And we have a video of OPV on YouTube, but this presentation is going to be a little more detailed. So in case you are missing some points, you can go to my YouTube channel and watch this already uploaded video from 2020. And to prepare this video above and the one that I'm presenting now, they are both mostly folks benefited and are based on Tanhan 2020 and Tanhan and Streck 2020. So these are two first OPV papers and also OIPA papers. So most of these presentation is coming from these two papers. And yes, if you have any questions, you can email me, and through ResearchGate and Google Scholar, we can also stay in touch, inshallah. And I really deeply thank you for gift of your time and further collaboration, inshallah. And let's move forward then. So what is online Photovoice, OPV, and who developed? In 1997, Drs. Wang and Boris developed traditional Photovoice to work with small disprivileged groups to understand their experience in related area. In their paper, Wang and Boris, they worked with Chinese workers, especially women workers. They were silenced, they did not have a voice to talk. So they did some quite effective studies and created this Photovoice methodology. And actually it goes back to Freire as well, who did some quite groundbreaking studies in Brazil. So today's OPV has been grown on the shoulder of Wang and Boris and Freire, Paulo Freire shoulder and their work. If you read these Tanhan and Streck and Tanhan 2020 papers, you can see all the references and the background. So Wang and Boris worked with small groups multiple times. They would come together many times. They would have small sessions and they would go away and a week later come together, again, discuss some issues. So in a few weeks, in a few months, they would complete their study. And many other researchers, if that is the first time you hear about a traditional Photovoice, know that thousands of papers have been published with traditional Photovoice. So in 2015, I was a PhD student at UNC Greensboro in the United States, and I was doing my cognate, my second area in public health. My major area was counseling, and my cognate, my second area was public health. And I was working with Robert Streck. He was my professor for a few of my courses. And I learned about traditional Photovoice, and we did some deep readings. And then I decided to use traditional Photovoice with Muslims. But then when I read more and more and more, and as a Muslim, you know, you have this large perspective to reach more diverse people and get more voice rather than just a few Muslims. And also protecting their anonymity, protecting their rights, protecting their voices, protecting and providing safety so they can speak as they wish and freely. So I decided to improve the method. I mean, I was questioning how we can move forward. Like rather than just meeting with people in private and meeting with people, each group like 5 to 8 people or 10 people, and holding more meetings to reach out more people, because it's very difficult really. So I decided to really improve it, and it took quite a lot of time. We had very difficult times with my professor, but Alhamdulillah, we came with OPV, and we transferred all the stages of traditional Photovoice to an online platform. And we added some steps. It was not just saying we are going to take this traditional Photovoice and doing online. It was not like that. So yes, and we also developed OIPA, Online Interpretative Phenomenological Analysis, because with OPV, with traditional Photovoice, some researchers use content analysis, some other researchers use the other qualitative analysis, some used traditional IPA, traditional interpretive phenomenological analysis. So we had to improve another analysis. And so we came with saying we are gonna add a few more steps to traditional interpretative phenomenological analysis. So we came with OIPA to be able to analyze the data we got online. So it is more grounded and it is more valid and it is more trustable. And if we look at the OPV compared to traditional Photovoice, it is much more practical and critical, especially when it is difficult to meet face-to-face in the face of pandemic, endemic, conflict, wars, natural disasters, or if participants request anonymity, or if there is no resources. I think like some people don't have transportation, they don't have time, but at the same time, they want to express their idea about a phenomena, a topic, a research. Okay. So here you see the first OPV paper, Tanhan and Streck 2020, Online Photovoice to Explore and Advocate for Muslim Biopsychosocial Spiritual Wellbeing and Issues, Ecological Systems Theory and Ally Development. It was published in Current Psychology. This is one of the best psychology journal in the world. And you can see we developed and collected data in 2015, but the first paper came 2020 because it took a lot of time to put into a very methodological way. So it is very practical for people to read. And also OPV got the research award at the 11th Muslim Mental Health Conference. I don't know whether you were there or not, but it was a really good point because it was just before pandemic. I mean, it was a year before pandemic. So brother Hamed Al-Talib, if you know him, he's a very good psychiatrist in the United States. He really liked, and he was the president of the jury for the reward. At that time, I was not aware of this OPV as much as he got aware of that. So Alhamdulillah, with the pandemic, with COVID-19, OPV really peaked. It got a lot of attention because everything moved to an online platform. So before we move into the steps, I really want to take some time to motivate you that it's a quite effective method. So you can see the first paper, Tanhan and Streck, and the second one is utilizing online Photovoice, Tanhan 2020. We used, I adapted OPV to Turkish. So this is the second OPV paper and the first OPV paper in Turkish. So if any of you would like to adapt OPV to their language, we can stay in touch because there's a method for it. It's not just a chicken translation, you know. So we need to be mindful of that. If you really want to adapt in a quite effective way and all other researchers using it, but if you really want to just translate word to word, then you can. But if you want to adapt mindfully and contextually, then we have to follow some methods and some steps, and I can collaborate for that. And so some papers, OPV papers in preparation, understanding how participants' perception of Palestine changed through online Photovoice, a quasi-experimental study. I'm the head of this paper. I'm organizing this paper. We had, it has been a very difficult experimental study because you have control study, you have experimental group, and then we made the experimental group to watch a 6-week documentary on Palestine. And then we did the pre-test and post-test. So we are comparing the control group and the experimental group with pre and post-test. So it's quite difficult. And alhamdulillah, we conducted the experiment, we collected the data, we analyzed the data. Maybe inshallah down the road we can have another gathering to share the results of that, because I think not just as Muslims, but all the researchers who have some humanity in their heart need to focus on the ferocity going on in free and occupied Palestine. So as researchers, as especially mental health researchers, practitioners, we need to take some time to say how we can address this issue going on in Palestine and how we can contribute to it, because the story, the narrative is so deep that the rest of the humanity have not worked enough. So the reason that we are here today, because the Zionists did a lot for more than 100 years to really construct a false narrative, a false perception on Palestine. So, and I'm attending many meetings that Al-Balkhi, IPRN, and ISIP and Muslim Mental Health and all other institutions are holding. And one of our issue, whether you are at research institutions, whether at teaching institutions, whether other institutions, one of our issue, we don't have well-constructed papers that we can give to our students. So we cannot just focus on the very difficult news and saying, let us be mindful and let's contribute to the Palestine issue. We really need to construct some very meaningful papers, studies from a positive psychology perspective, and yes, from a psychopathology perspective as well. So OPV is a really good tool for that. And if anyone is interested, we can stay in touch and do some similar studies in your country as well, especially on Palestine, because for the moment, my #1 agenda is to really set time for Palestine issues. And another study that we have been conducting and is using online Photovoice to examine people's most meaningful action to contribute for peace in free and occupied Palestine. This is very neat for us, dear sisters and brothers, because we all know we have been going through very difficult times, but we also need to create some space for, from a positive psychology perspective, we also need to really give some good tidings to people. So we can create a space to say, what have you done for peace in free and occupied Palestine? What is your most meaningful action? Because we mostly focus on just on the other side and the very difficult news. So it's a kind of a reminder that we can use OPV here as well. So another study that is going on, I'm not at the head of this paper, one of our professor is head of the paper, The Effect of Spirituality and Religiosity in Counseling course on counseling students through an online Photovoice, a quasi-experimental study. So here, our professor taught a course on spirituality and religiosity in counseling, and she had pre and post-TED, but she did not have the control group. So it's going to be just the experimental group. So that is the reason it's a quasi-experimental with just experimental group. And another one is utilizing online Photovoice. I got this issue with my utilizing online Photovoice to explore how counseling students perceive the conference of the boards. Another friend is leading this paper, and I'm collaborating with this. Maybe you have heard about this book. It's very important for all people, but especially Muslims, because it is about 800 years old. And it is Mantuq al-Tayr. The original name of the book is Mantuq al-Tayr. So the Conference of the Birds, and it was by Faridun Attar. So we asked the experimental group to read this book, and this is related to our group as well, right? Because our topic is Islamic psychology, and this is one of the best books that you can read, and you can ask your students or you can ask your clients to read to increase their psychological flexibility, cognitive flexibility, and mental health well-being, and also address some psychopathology issues as well. Yes, we can, inshallah, down the road, we can share all the results of these studies as well. So here, some already published, and they are out there. You can go and download them from Google Scholar or from our ResearchGate accounts. The one is, the first one is Mental Health Facilitators and Barriers During COVID-19 in Nigeria. So Sister Aishatu from Nigeria, she's a psychiatrist over there, and she collected data and analyzed the data. And it was published in a very good top journal, Journal of Asian and African Studies. And here, if any authors of this paper are here and they want to take 1 minute, just 1 minute, they can open their mic and talk. Like Sister Aishatu, if you are here and you want to promote your paper, more than welcome if you are here. And the second paper is Understanding the Most Important Facilitators and Barriers for Online Education During COVID-19 through Online Photovoice Methodology. But by the way, we have listed these alphabetically. Actually, these Doyumgaç, Tanhan, Krimaz is the first the third paper after my papers. And this paper got around 280 citations, dear friends. It was published in 2021, and it is 3 years, and the journal was not very quite effective, but the paper got really good citations. So if you are in academia, you know, citations sometimes is important for us. So yes. Another already published paper is Exploring the Facilitators and Barriers to Maintaining Intimate Relationships During COVID-19 through Online Photovoice Methodology, Journal of Family Issues. This is also one of the top journals in psychology. And another paper is Understanding Mathematics Perception Through Drawing, an Online Interpretative Phenomenological Analysis study. So a professor from math department used OIPA, not OPV, OIPA, to conduct and understand students' perception of mathematics, so how they perceive math. Another study is Women's Perspectives of Sexuality Through Online Photovoice, Nazlı Özkan. She was my master student, and she did her master in clinical psychology. And she was very into how women in Turkey perceive their sexuality. So she conducted a very quite effective study and used OPV. And also that came out of her thesis for clinical psychology department for her master. Another study was evaluation of teacher candidates' perceptions about specific learning difficulties through online Photovoice methodology. You can see in how they have used in special education and especially focused on specific learning difficulties, SLD. Another study that was published is understanding teachers' return to school process after COVID-19 through online Photovoice. And another one, investigating students' experience of online distance education with Photovoice during COVID-19, and it was published in Distance Education. And this journal is also one of the best journal in the world. Another study that was published, we have a few more studies, and then we are going to switch to the steps of OPV, was a constructive understanding of mental health facilitators and barriers through online Photovoice during COVID-19. And another study, it says Tanhan, but it's not me. This is another researcher. Online, it is exploring college students' perception of tasawwuf through online Photovoice. So this graduate school student, he was doing his master, and with his professor, he did his thesis on how college students in Turkey perceiving tasawwuf, and they really got very effective studies. For example, they had about 50, 60 doctors, nurses, and they were expecting like counseling students, psychology students, or seminary students to talk about more about tasawwuf and its practicality and its benefit, but it was health students talked more about the practicality and the need to use tasawwuf in health. So it was very interesting, really. Another study using online Photovoice and community-based participatory research to understand facilitators and barriers to online distance education during COVID-19. Again, this distance education, I don't know whether you know about it, but it has about like 5-6 impact factor, and it is Q1, it's Q1 journal. So it is one of the best journal in the world. Another paper, Perception of Online Education During COVID-19, Online Photovoice and Ecological Systems Theory. It was on counseling students, how counseling students go through COVID-19, and it was published in Journal of Guidance and Counseling, again, one of the best journal in the world. Another study using online Photovoice to understand youth's perceptions of distance education during COVID-19. You can see many papers are on COVID-19. The reason, because the first two papers, Tanhan and Streck and Tanhan 2020, came during the pandemic, okay? After just World Health Organization declared that is COVID-19 virus is a pandemic issue, after a week, the first OPV paper came. So that is the reason most of the studies who used OPV are on COVID-19. Another study is university students' well-being and mental health during COVID-19 and online Photovoice approach. In this research, this researcher used an OPV to understand seminary students. So these are students who are studying Islamic sciences in Turkey. Her whole sample came from Islamic seminary school. And this paper came from Russia, Harnessing the Power of Online Photovoice in Cross-Cultural English Language Education, a study among students of psychology and pedagogy faculty. So Tatiana Volkadov is a researcher in Russia, and she used OPV there. And another study, we are expecting that to be published in a few months, is an online Photovoice study on professional identity development of counselor educators with international backgrounds. We had our sample from United States international counselor educators and their experiences in United States. So it is soon gonna be accepted, inshallah, because we got the reviews and we corrected them. And here we have 3 theses. So if we have any students, or if you have any graduate students, you definitely and firmly and kindly suggest your students to use OPV or OIPA in their theses. And if you need support, definitely we have more than enough researchers who are gonna support you for that, and I'm gonna be with you for that process as well. So you can see the first thesis came from clinical psychology, and it is examining the views of women with different education levels about sexuality by using online Photovoice methodology. And the second thesis came from, again, clinical psychology clinical psychology department. And the focus was investigation of relationship experiences of individuals with different attachment styles by online interpretative phenomenological analysis. So she used OIPA and the first person used OPV. And the third thesis is exploring college students' perception of tasawwuf through online Photovoice methodology. And last month, another student in doing her master in early child development, she used OPV to understand the students' use of technology. She used OPV to understand that. Okay, so I think you have seen some quite effective. I think we have about 25 OPV or OIPA papers, and about 15 of them are published in SSI journals. That means the best journals in the world. And it's very difficult really to get an exception in SSI journals. So more than half of OPV or OIPA papers are published in very top journals. So what are the main goals of OPV? I think now you got some curiosity, you got some motivation. So let's dive into a little more steps and see the main goals of OPV. So the first and the main goal is understanding the most important facilitators and barriers in people's life from their own unique perspective in an innovative and creative way. So if you really want to understand what is facilitating a subject, or not just facilitating, if you want to understand a phenomena, for example, how women are perceiving their sexuality, right? Or how people are explaining their most meaningful action for ceasefire or for peace in free and occupied Palestine. So you can use OPV to understand people's perception and process and their thinking about this. The second main goal is advocating with the volunteer participants and others interested as allies or partners in the resource topic to reach out to the key authorities and institutions to enhance facilitators and address the issues if they are needed. The third is advocating with the volunteer participants and other interests as allies or partners in the resource topic to reach out to the key authorities and institutions to address various core-source issues. For example, for the first OPV paper we conducted at UNC Greensboro, and for the one who don't know, UNC Greensboro is one of the best schools in the United States, and the counseling department is it ranks change from number 1 to number 3, but it's one of the best. And when I was doing my PhD there, we had many Muslims on campus, but none of the research, none of the administrators were focusing on Muslims issues. Muslim community had a lot issue, but none of the researchers were addressing them. So we asked, we conducted a study, we used OPV, and said, what is the main facilitator for you as a Muslim on this campus as one of the best schools in the world? And then what are some barriers? So we wanted to talk to the administrators in 2 ways, saying here some are the support system, the facilitator system, the resources that are supporting Muslims on this campus, and here are some barriers, some concerns, some issues. So we are trying to increase the overall mental health well-being and also addressing some psychosocial issues, So if you read the papers, you can go we could have asked Muslims this question as well, for example, share your experience as a Muslim on this campus. But we when we shaped our research question, we really wanted to be very practical and to understand what are the barriers and what are the facilitators. So we are talking to the Muslim community in a very practical and functional way. And we are also talking to the administrators in a very practical and functional way. Let me have some water. So also when we are using OPV, we want to really be mindful because our final goal is to take the results and share with the authorities. So imagine you went to the chancellor. For example, for the first OPV study on UNC Greensboro, we called the media, we called the radios, we called the newspapers, we called the researchers, we called all key people, and they came. Imagine you are talking to these people who are managing the city and the institutions, and you are telling them that Muslims have these problems, these barriers, these issues. I mean, you know, life is not like that. If we are still alive, and if we are having a life, that means we have some things that are going well. So if you just talk about issues and problems to a key person and authority, it's not going to be effective. But if you have a balance and say, hey, person, you know, thank you so much for the service. Here are what you are providing. And here we have some issues. Then you are going to have a balance. You can thank them for the facilitations and for the support. And also, if we have some support, and for example, we had a masjid on campus at one place, but we did not have, then the campus is very large. So the students asked if we can have some masjid at some other buildings as well. Okay, it's already a facilitator. And but can we have at some other buildings? Can we have at the gym? For example, we had a great creational center, and the Muslim students also are using the creational center. They go and swim. They have sport. They have some time. They study at the creational center, at the sports center, and they needed a masjid there as well. So it's important for us to say facilitators and barriers, but we don't have to do that. For example, for our ongoing study on Palestine, what is your most meaningful action to contribute to the peace in free and occupied Palestine, right? So it is not facilitator and barrier. It is like just what is your experience for this phenomenon? So when you get the results, you collaborate as the researchers and partners who want to get involved in this process from a community-based participatory research. We call this CBPR. You go with your community who want to be out there, and they don't want to be anonymous. If you have enough people like that, or you have enough researchers, then you can collaborate with them, organize your data and share with the key people in charge of that issue. Okay, so here, for example, from our study that we have conducted, and we conducted a quasi-experimental study. The study that I said were very difficult because we had the control group, we had the experimental group, and we had the pre-test, and we had the post-test. And you have to be very careful when you are having an experimental study, right? Because you have to measure all the steps. So you can see the participant perception and experience and sharing through OPV. So we had an online questionnaire. So OPV example, at 22 years old, single female college students with a medium level socioeconomic status in post-test experimental group submitted the following photos, story, and summary words to share her perception of Palestine. So the story that we are gonna read is at 22 years old, single female college students attended 6 weeks experiment on Palestine. She watched the documentary on Palestine with a group online. And then she shared her experience, her perception about Palestine. So our research question was, what does Palestine mean to you? So we conducted as pre-test and as post-test. And now the story that we are going to read is the post-test. That means she attended the experiment and then she shared. So in step one in OPV, we say reflect and write all the words come to your mind when you hear what does Palestine mean to you. So she wrote at the post-test, just getting your attention, that is a post-test, authentic, admiration, spiritually self-actualized. So that is a person attended 6 weeks and sharing her experience, her phenomena about Palestine. What does Palestine mean to her, and what kind of phenomena in her mind? What is the shape? What is the picture? So in step two, we say, now focus on one or a few words of that you wrote in this step one and take a photo that represents the most important words here. I have written this wrong here. I say important facilitator. It's not like that. So in step two, she reflects on these words and she says, I'm going to talk about all of them or just one of them. Okay. But before she starts to talk about them, we are asking her to take a photo that represents these words. So she took this photo. You can see a beautiful photo. And then we say step three, write a caption following short acronym. In a few slides later, I'm going to share short acronym because short acronym has 6 critical sentences. So the person, a 22 years old single female college student, took short acronym and wrote her story. She says, the photo I took is the flowers of an almond tree. The reason why these flowers remind me of Palestine is that Palestine is a wonderful country with many detailed beauty, as I realized from the Palestinian events that you have organized. I attended them all. Thanks a lot for that. As you know, almond blossoms are very delicate and yet they are very stubborn to bear fruit. Although Palestine has lost many of its flowers due to what has been happening to her for years, she is still trying to hold on to that thin branch with her beliefs and her bond to her creator. Of course, this stormy period will end and fruits will be given. Our duty here is to take good care of the almond tree and protect her. We should ask our own soul to take many of the teachings of the people of Palestine as life lessons and benefit from them in our daily lives. And you can see her story, right? She followed short acronym. I'm going to share the acronym with you. And in step 4, these are the OPV steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Step 4, we say, now take time, reflect on step 1, step 2, step 3, and give us the heart of your story. If a person don't have time, what you are gonna do, what you are gonna say to them about what Palestine means to you. And she's saying faith, beauty, hidden fruit. Okay. And yes, inshallah, this will be presented in Tanhan Adult 2024 paper, inshallah, it's in preparation. And for example, this person she is a woman and she want to be in our CBPR group, because when we prepare the results, when it is done, we are going to have a presentation. We are going to call the students. We are going to call the other institutions. And she wanted to be out there and she wanted to be in our CBPR group. So we are going to collaborate with some of our researchers who want to be out there. But also we have many participants who don't want to be out there and who want to just stay anonymous. Okay, so this is the advantage of OPV. If a person want to be out there, they can. Here another sharing from the same study. From the post-test again, a 35 years old single male college student with a medium level socioeconomic status in the post-test experimental group submitted the following photo, story, and summary words to share their perception of Palestine. So the research question was the same. What does Palestine mean to you? Again, this person also attended all the experimental studies, the sessions. And so he, in the first steps, you can see when we ask, what does Palestine mean to you? What are the first words come to your mind? This step is a kind of a brainstorming. We ask them to write as quickly as possible, not thinking a lot about this. So it says civilization, ancient values, beginning of humanity, culture, ancient buildings, and human history. So step 2, we say focus on these words and focus on one or a few of them and give us a photo that represents them. So he has uploaded this photo. So then step 3, we said, can you use follow short acronym to explain your message? What does Palestine mean to you? Okay, you give us these words, you give us this photo, now give us the story, give us the narrative. So he says, in my photograph, it says the truth is hidden because it is so bright. For me, and this is from Ibn Arabi, for me, these events allowed me to understand the truth of Palestine as it really is. I didn't know that the land of Palestine had so much wealth, humanity, and ancient values. The Zionist terrorists have put us all to sleep and have always portrayed Palestine as the region as an empty desert as an empty desert land with suffering. The photo is about my enlightenment about Palestine. I never imagined that I would really learn so much. It is the Zionist terrorists and our deceived leaders who prevent us from seeing the truth. It is us who are unconscious, and we do not try to learn anything. Thank you very much for these events that made me enlightened. Thanks to Allah, I'm stronger and healthier now. I feel both strong, happy, peaceful, and sad at the same time. Such events should increase and should be shown everywhere. So at step 4, we are saying again, please reflect on step 1, step 2, step 3. And now, if a person doesn't have a time to read your stories, your narrative, check your photo, give us the heart of your narrative. So step 4, he has provided civilization, ancient values, beginning of humanity, culture, ancient buildings, history of humanity, strong sense of connectedness to its heritage. And again, this is going to be published in the upcoming paper. For example, this person did not reach out to us, and we don't really know who is that person, and he's not going to be in the CBPR group. As much as I know, because we are about 20 researchers on this paper. Okay, so these two study, these two sharing, these two narratives from the upcoming journal, and these here is another sharing from the published paper Tanhan 2020. Where we ask the people, what are the facilitator and barriers for your life during COVID-19? I'm not gonna go through this, but here again, we said, can you reflect and write all the facilitators for you during COVID-19 as a person? This study was not an experimental study. It was during COVID-19 and people were going through a very difficult time. So we said, what is facilitating your life, dear friend? So, for example, this person said nature, village, trees, farming, family, animals, internet, computer. So here he uploaded a photo representing these, a few of them or all of them. And then in step 3, he has shared his story, right? Following short acronym. And then in step 4, he provided the heart of the narrative, the story. And this is published, it's out there. You can go to Tanhan 2020 and see the full story and the other stories as well. So this one, we can see from here, for example, here in step 4, the heart of the story is nature, animals, village, healthy life. See, he's not talking about computer, internet. He's talking, he says, the heart of my facilitator during COVID-19 is nature, animals, village, and a healthy life. And you can read from here his story. let me read this one as well. So in this photo, you see my pigeons. I had to leave the city and go to my village due to the virus. When my pigeons fly, I feel as if I fly into the profound sky. As they rise, I feel as if I rise. There are many factors that facilitate my life, and I don't want to focus on my life at the village and my animals, meaning my pigeons. As a college student, I believe we got too far away from nature to the point that we have forgotten we are human beings and need to live with nature. I feel happy when I spend time with my pigeons and other animals my family own. There are many beautiful things in the village, such as animals, nature, organic products, fresh air, cheap and even free water and rent, few problems, less crowd and less noise. However, there are some issues as well. For example, internet is very limited because I'm using from my cell phone. Universities and administrators can address these issues so that more people can live at the villages and the virus will spread less. People will feel more happy and healthy. You can see, and if you are teaching at colleges, I taught in United States and still are collaborating a lot with college researchers in United States. It's very difficult to facilitate a college student's write a rich story. So OPV is really through this short acronym is providing a space, a platform for the person to move forward and write a very rich narrative about the phenomena, about the research question that you are interested in. So this is another study from the same study, but this person is a different person, and they shared what is the most, oh, okay, this is also the facilitator. Okay, this is the barrier. Sorry, yeah. This is here, the person shared what is the most barrier in their life during COVID-19 as a college student. And you can see first step, second step, step 4, step 4. And it is published in Tanhan 2020, if you want to go and read. Okay. So, dear friends, let's have a kind of a small summary. So we got some published papers on OPV and OIPA, and we see it has been published. The papers are published in top journals, and then we see how people are sharing their story about different phenomena, about different research topics. And we really learned about the steps really, but let me go through the steps formally as well, because now you can see when if I say step 1, what is step 1? Now you can see, okay, so, you know, step 1, the brainstorming. So let's go through his very quickly, because it has been 52 minutes that I'm talking. So participation through OPV takes 5 steps. Step 1 is, I'm going to share this presentation with you so you can read all of them. And also we have the very detailed presentation on online photos if you want to go and read them as well. So in step 1, we are asking people reflect and write all the facilitators and decide the most important concepts towards facilitators that come to your mind about that phenomena. If you are not into facilitator and barriers issue, if you want to just understand what Palestine mean to people, okay, what Gaza mean to people, what resilience mean to you or to people, or what does free and occupied Palestine mean to people, right? It's not about facilitators and barriers. You can say, okay, reflect and write. The first words come to your mind. And in this step, we are asking people to write as quickly as possible. You know, in psychology, the brainstorming, the first that come to your mind is very important. Especially for the quasi-experimental study, because the first word come to your mind probably is the word that is affecting you most about that phenomena. So we say take time to reflect on the subject or research question you are being asked for. What are the important concept words or facets come to your mind? take note all the concepts, words, or facets come to your mind in an electronic tool or on a piece of paper. And then we say, take these all. Remember these, our 22 years old female college student, the woman who shared the first word come to her mind about what Palestine meant to her. Do you remember? Authentic, admiration, spiritually self-actualized. So step 2, we're saying, okay, reflect on these first words and focus on a few of them or the most important ones, okay? So if they have written 10 words and they say, I want to focus on all of them, well done. But if they have written 10 words and they say, no, really, I want to focus on just these 2 because now we have asked them to slow down, right? To press us to slow down the cognitive process and say, now what I'm going to focus on? I'm going to focus on my thinking, my thoughts, my images, my feelings, my sensations, what I'm going to focus on. So they slow down and they say, okay, I'm going to focus on this. Now we are saying, you can take many photos representing the most important concepts or the words that you want to focus on. You can take many photos, but at the end of the day, when you are uploading to the OPV form, you are being asked to upload only one photo because for OPV, we want to reach out to many people. You can, I mean, if you read the traditional Photovoice studies, for example, some researchers reach out to 15 people, okay? 15 people is really not too many people, but they ask them to upload 15 photos for a topic and share their stories about. For example, if you are conducting a study in Palestine and saying, what does Palestine mean to you? And you are having 15 people and you are asking them to upload 50, each of them upload 10 photos and write 10 photos. Well, that's we respect this. But what about if you reach out to 100 people, 200 people and ask each of them for one photo, for one narrative, and to focus on the most important thing for them? Because this is important for us. Okay, so they slow down and they take as a photo. And here, if you are really into psychology, you know that this projection, when we are taking some time and when we project our ideas to an object, you know, the Rorschach test, we have many tests that are taking this projection process, projection approach to figure out the inner process of a person, whether it's thinking, whether it's feeling, whether it is emotions. So this photo is critical for us, and especially with AI, with this ChatGPT coming out, with these social media accounts, platforms, the photo is getting more and more attention. And we are analyzing under OPV, we are analyzing the photos as well, pre-test and post-test. For example, for the experimental study on Palestine, it was awesome to see how the people's in the control group, their perception virtually, I mean, in terms of the image, change from very difficult moments to more positive moments about Palestine. And as mental health researchers or people are leading the community and humanity, we need to really support people. That doesn't mean we are gonna make them to forget difficult moments. No, we are gonna help people to really create some space for positive, for meaningful, for enjoyable things to prosper, to move forward, and also to address difficult moments in a very effective way. So this second step is very important and makes OPV or traditional Photovoice very different from many other qualitative research. So here again, explanation, and it says you can take some time to reflect on each photo to decide if you have taken many photos, which one you are going to upload. It's totally up to your reflection, thought, and perception experience to decide which one represents your concept, your words. For example, if you look at just this photo, you are going to say, what is the connection between almond, this flower, or this tree and Palestine? Well, it's up to that person, you know, now. And that time it was spring. So probably that person was in the garden in their area and they wanted to share this. Okay. So remember this lady, 22 years, female college student. She wanted to upload this photo to talk about what does Palestine mean to her. Step 3, we are asking people to reflect on step 1, step 2, now step 3, sharing their narrative, sharing their story. And we are asking them to follow SHOWed acronym to have a very meaningful, a very conceptual, a very comprehensive, well-grounded story narrative to enrich the person, the participant itself. Many times at the research, we really forget about the participant, you know? Even if it's just a survey, an explorative survey, if you think about your question, you can contribute to your participant. And we are reminding them that, yes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Photo is very important. But, you know, like if a person just look at this almond tree, or these flowers, even they may not know that's almond, you know, because many flowers, like the flower of apricot is almost the same as the almond. So we say a picture is very important and it means a lot. A picture is worth 1,000 words. But what about if a person is looking at your photo, but at the same time, looking at your photo as you wish, as you have experienced that photo. So now we are asking about what a comprehensive, brief, meaningful, well-grounded story. And we are recommending them to follow SHOWed. So in SHOWed, what we are providing them, we say, look at here, we say SHOWed acronym is as what do you see in the picture as representative of the most important concept of or words for Palestine for you as part of your life in the context of the subject addressed in the research. So for this presentation, I talked about what does Palestine mean to you. So our participants for the pre-test and post-test, they had the same question. So they say SHOWed acronym, they read and they write their story based on this question. What do you see in your picture related to Palestine? H is standing for what is happening in the picture you have taken. What's happening in that almond tree? Or how does that relate to you or our life as a person or as a community? W is standing for what is that contributes or creates the concepts or words? Like what is the reason behind the things that you are talking? And E, what did you experience, feelings, thoughts, sensations, and behaviors when you took the photo and when you are writing the caption and submitting the photo and the story? What are your experiences? What are your experiences? And D, what can we as mental health professionals, peers, universities, and all do about this issue? So you can see if you really follow SHOWed, you can write a very meaningful, comprehensive, and brief to the point narrative. But in general, we are also reminding the participant that they don't have to follow SHOWed. They can freely write, but if you really reflect on these questions, they are very critical questions. They are not just random questions. And here, like, for example, in traditional Photovoice, if you look at the Wang and Boris 1997 or Paulo Freire studies, you cannot see these, what did you experience? They are not focusing on the experience, but they are focusing on all other letters. And the fourth step, you are already familiar with this. We say focus on step 1, step 2, step 3, and give us the heart of your story, the narrative. Here, they write at least 10 words to summarize, at most 10 words, but it's up to you as a researcher. You can say at most 15 words or at least 10 characters, 10 letters, that mean. it's up to you. If you read the OPV studies, different researchers ask for different number of words for their studies. So here, there is a step 5. Here, what we are asking people to say, can you reflect on all these 4 steps and your story, the photo, and you have an image, you have an experience, you have a perception about the phenomena, about the research, the topic. So what you are attributing these to where? Are you attributing these to individual resources, to institutional institutions, to where, right? So here you can have a theory. In general, I'm asking people to benefit from ecological systems theory. Yuri Brenner has developed ecological systems theory. I'm suggesting them to really use a theory to ask people, to their participants. Let me have some water. Ask people to say, I'm attributing this perception to where? This is very important for us, because are you attributing to individual inner processes, your feelings, your personal education, or your other microsystems like family, church, a mosque, or a synagogue, or a temple, or a school, or you are attributing to the other exosystems theories, or macrosystem theory factors. So if you look at the ecological systems theory, we are talking about the micro, exo, macro systems, and also chronological systems. So here, if you read the papers, that you are going to understand more. It's important for us. For example, if you're conducting a study on understanding women's sexuality, then probably you can benefit from a feminist theory or another theory, and saying what kind of factors, what kind of resources shaped your perception. So it is important for us, because, for example, let's say we ask the person who joined us, right? The 22 years old lady, and I don't think we have taken that question for her, but she's saying, I have this perception of Palestine and I'm attributing these to only myself. What does that mean? That means the government in Turkey, the institutions in Turkey, the universities, the schools, the prayer institutions, the education institutions, they did not anything for me. And that is a very important resource for us to say, okay, what we can do to really contribute to that process of that person about that phenomena. Okay, and this is just a reminder. Now you can see again as a whole, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and then in these questions we also ask people what kind of resources, what kind of systems, it's microsystem, individual systems, or microsystems, or exosystems, or chronosystems that shaped your perception. Again, the same study, if you remember, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Now imagine if you don't have OPV, right? It might be very difficult really to get this story and this photo from that person. And especially if you think, like, we had about 65 people in the experimental group and about 50 in the control group. So imagine you are interviewing with each person. If you think about the traditional qualitative methods, or if you are using some not qualitative but quantitative measures, tools, and scales to measure their perception of Palestine. Well, first you need to check whether there are a scale out there, but also if you use a quantitative study, a measure, then you might have a side effect that you are going to shape their perception, right? Because this in psychology, it's very important for us when we are doing a research, when we are searching for a phenomena, for a research topic, it's important to say at what level we are not manipulating the person for that phenomena. So an OPV is quite good. Yes, OPV also, it has a manipulation with the question, for example, what does Palestine mean to you? For example, we did not ask, what does Zionist mean to you, right? We did not ask, what does XXX mean to you? We asked, what Palestine mean to you? Or in the other paper, we asked people, what is your most meaningful action for peace in free and occupied Palestine? Of course, the question has a manipulation and asking people to set time to reflect on Palestine and reflect on their most meaningful. But beyond that, there is no manipulation. But if it was a quantitative study, you are going to have many questions. You are going to say, did you march? Did you have boycott? Did you have this? Did you have this? Did you have this? Did you have this? The manipulation is more in other quantitative and maybe in even qualitative study, because during the qualitative study, it's more likely you go in more deep with them, and it's possible that you take them to the point that you might want to go more. Okay, again, reminder, we already focused on this thing. Yeah, as I said, the fifth question is about steps, and here I prepared the presentation as two different topics. For example, if for people who want to focus on facilitator and barriers, and for a person who say, no, I'm not gonna take OPV and check facilitators and barriers for my phenomena, but I'm gonna only focus on to understand the phenomena, like what does Palestine mean to you? How is that to live on UNC Greensboro as a Muslim? Okay, so again, I have shared that with you. Rather than barrier and concern of facilitated barriers, it's just one thing. Here it says reflect and write all the barriers and decide the most important barriers. Okay, we focus on this. So if you go through this, you can see it's it's well provided. If you want to use OPV to focus on one phenomena or to understand the phenomena, barriers, and facilitators. And dear friends, you know, when you are writing a paper, theoretical framework, TF, is very important for us. If you don't have a TF, a theoretical framework for your study, it can be a really good study, but it cannot be published in top journals. So if we want to use OPV and have a theoretical framework, then you can use OPV and also benefit from some other theories. So it's up to your topic, you know. For example, in the published OPV or OIPA papers, people use ecological systems theory as part of their theoretical framework, community-based participatory research, CBPR or PAR, participatory research, PAR, or social advocacy theory, allied development theory, feminist theory, etc., etc. Okay. So here we are ending OPV. What is OIPA means difference? If you understand OPV, then understanding OIPA is much easier, because we are just taking photo out of the process, and you can conduct the same study, right? The same studies without asking the photo. Because some people say, I'm not going to use photo, I'm not into photo, or maybe some journals don't accept photo in their journals. For example, family therapy, it's one of the top journals in the world, and they are not accepting photos in their journal. They are focusing on intimate relationship, but they say if you have a photo, we cannot publish it. So and not everybody is into photo. So, and also when you are asking people to upload a photo, then it makes it a little more difficult to upload. You know, tools sometimes get very difficult when you want to upload. It takes a little extra internet, etc. So the same process, but this time we are not asking for um, photos, okay? But if you want to use OIPA for OPV, then you are checking photos as well. So OIPA consists of 5 steps. It says check photos and captions for missing information. Step 2, checking and reading photos, captions, and summary keywords for confidentiality and to get familiarized with the data. Step 3, classifying summary concepts, words. Step 4, classifying the photos. So, and step 4, if you have asked a question about a theory, then you are analyzing them, and all these goes under OIPA. So if you have used a traditional Photovoice approach, you are gonna call people, you are gonna have a focused meetings, you are gonna transcribe their narratives, and then you are gonna, with the other researchers, you are gonna take teams out of them. But in OPV, you are focusing on the fourth step. Do you remember the fourth step? The heart of the story. Okay, so you read, for OIPA, you read all the stories to make sure that you understand the whole picture. For example, when a person says almond tree, now you understand that almond tree is a very delicate and very precious tree for that person. And they have used almond tree that represents Palestine. So you need to read the all stories, but you are going to go with their teams, with the participants' team. So now the participant is informed about the summary. Otherwise, if you don't have the step 4, the heart of the story, you are going to try to make a meaning out of the story. And it is possible to lose their meaning. Because if you call the person and say, well, I read your story, or I listened your conversation and I transcribed them verbatim, word to word, and now I came with these words. They might say, no, it's okay, but these are not the exact thing that I have mentioned for the summary. But when you are using OPV and step 4, then you are protecting the voice of your participant. And as people in mental health, as people are in psychology, in counseling, in psychiatry, in social work, we are really there to protect the people's voice. You know, sometimes we forget about this. It's important, especially considering OPV is for people who are being silenced, who don't have a voice. So please make sure that you are protecting their voice. And OPV is doing this a lot and allowing you to reach many participants and protecting all the participants' voice as well. I think we talk about this, what does happen after your OPV participation. You take the data, you analyze them. And by the way, always we ask a question, say, as a participant, do you want to get involved in this research? Do you want to be in CBPR group, in our CBPR group? If they say yes, you are asking their email, their phone number, and then you analyze with them. They get involved in that research process. Or if like you have 20, 30 people who say, oh yeah, I want to get involved, then you are gonna say 5, 7 people analyze with the data, 5, 7 help with the exhibition, because then when you analyze the data, you are gonna present the results to community, to people in interest, called media, etc. Okay, you can go through this in details, and especially if you read the papers, you can see the effect. For example, for the first OPV, we called the media and the mainstream media in the United States and the local were there, and we were in the news. You know, it's very beautiful. Now you have a very meaningful, well-grounded research at one of the top schools in the world. And now you are not just letting that research to stay in the library and get lost in the stocks, but now you are really taking one more step and advocating for and with the community to move forward. I think this is one of our big dilemma as researchers we are not taking the research with the community for the community. So OPV from that perspective is very effective, and you also really you get a lot of fun, and it's great to it's always, not always, but most of the time it's really good to be with the people and doing some meaningful actions. Okay, so you for example, we are for every study, after every study, we say, can you take this paper and go to the chancellor, go to these, go to these, go to these people who are interested in that subject. And they take the published paper or the report and go. So, and then these people are in our CBPR, and we mention their name in the paper in the acknowledgement section. If you go to the first Tanhan and Strak, you can see the all MSA board members are on that paper in the acknowledgement. They are about like 10 people, and they were with us for the whole process, shaping from research question to the end. And yes, so this is important for us. OPV advantages compared to traditional Photovoice. I think now you can imagine that you need to go and meet 5 to 8 people and meet again and record their voice and then transcribe and then take the teams. And on the other side, think about OPV. You don't have to, you can go to the community, you can go and collaborate with all of them, and you go actually. But what about if a person really doesn't want to get out and even meet you, forget about other people, and they still want to share their experience, their voice about that topic, because we have some very critical topics. Let's just imagine about the Palestine. Like imagine, I mean, Turkey, even in Turkey, some professors, they don't want to talk about Palestine. Forget about the United States. Like we had many professors, Christian professors, Jewish professors, Muslim professors, the non-believer professors. They are professors at high institutions, and they don't feel relaxed to talk about Palestine openly. For example, a Christian professor, reached out to me and said, from after a gathering, online gathering, she said, can we have some papers, good papers, so we can ask our students to read, because my students want to talk about Palestine, but they also don't feel relaxed to talk about it in this class. So what can we do? So if we have really such studies, you can conduct studies. At the same time, you can give your students or other people, your community members, to really reflect on that topic mindfully and share their perspective. And now you can collect them, analyze them, and contribute to the humanity. So you can see OPV advantages are very, like it activates people multiple senses, including basic 5 senses, vision, touching, and others, because you go out, you take a photo, etc. It asks about your feelings, your emotions, and your feature suggestions, etc. And also, like imagine during COVID-19, many students in the United States and many researchers who got in touch with me, they had a plan to use traditional Photovoice to face-to-face to go and conduct study. Some of them had to fly to another country, but imagine what happened, COVID-19 happened, and now no one could get out. So imagine like we want to conduct a study for people living in Gaza. What you can do? You cannot go there. Some people can go, but really you can. It's going to be very difficult. But you can conduct the study, and we are collaborating with a few researchers, especially the psychiatrist brother Yasir from the last 5 years on OPV. He's a well educated, well trained, mashallah, psychiatrist from Gaza. And we are using OPV for some topics with him as well. Okay, so you can go through these advantages because this is very important to understand the advantages of OPV. Otherwise, you are going to say, okay, it's just a regular qualitative method. It's not. or if you don't understand the advantages and you don't get that motivation, that synergy, then because it is not very easy to do as well. It takes some time, but compared to traditional or compared to the other qualitative method, if you understand the advantages, then it's going to be much more effective. Okay, so if a person doesn't want to use OPV, but they want to use OIPA, imagine the second thesis, she focused on how partners has an attachment style. She wanted to examine the attachment style, or imagine a paper was on how students were perceiving math, right? Both of them, they did not, or another student, COVID-19, after COVID-19, the teachers returned to schools. These three people, they did not use OPV, they used OIPA. They did not ask for a photo. So what is the difference between OIPA and OPV? Again, it is just one step. We are in OIPA, we are not asking people the photo. We are asking step one, reflect and write all the concept words related to the research topic that come to your mind first. That means brainstorming. Step two, focus on these words and provide a very deep, meaningful, comprehensive story following short acronym. Okay, right? We skip the photo compared to OPV. So they follow short acronym. And step three, they give us the heart of the story. So they write their summary words or their themes, and then you are done. And then again, when you are doing the OIPA studies and analysis, if you use OIPA as a collecting data method, then you are reading the whole captions, the whole stories, the whole narrative, that now you are using the whole picture. And again, the critical thing for the when you are using OIPA as an analysis is step the one that are asking for the heart of the narrative. Again, you are not making a meaning out of your participants' story. You are taking their words as they are. Of course, contextualized. If the person said, I think Palestine is hidden truth, right? Ibn Arabi, they used Ibn Arabi words to summarize. You know that when they say the hidden truth, they are talking about the struggle and the beauty and the ancient about Palestine. They are not talking about the ancient Mecca or the ancient Mesopotamia or the ancient Egypt. Okay, they are talking about Palestine. So you are taking their word to the analysis. Again, you are protecting their voice. And as mental health professionals, as mental health researchers, this is very important for us. We all know that even in the sessions, it's very easy for us if a person comes with some issues and you say, you know, okay, you are struggling with prayers, then you know you can climb to a tree. The person says, what are you talking about? Like climbing a tree? What is the same? If you really don't get into their story, if you say, rather than climbing a tree, you say, you know, alarm your clock and make dua and make, these are the same thing. Formally, maybe in shape, they are different, but in the function, they are the same. Because you did not get into their story, you don't know what does that mean to them. So it's very important for us to really protect their voice, protect their experience as it is, so they feel heard and they feel understood, and then we can improve an insight, and then we can move forward with them as they wish to move forward toward their values. So OIPA, you can use OIPA as a different, standing alone as a collecting data and analyzing data. Or you can use OIPA with OPV to analyze the data of OPV, okay? And OIPA was developed by Smith and Osborne in 2003. and a few person who got their training from Smith and Osborne got in touch with me to use OIPA. So this is another good news, really. So OIPA has some advantages compared to traditional IPA or other thematic or content analysis. So you can read them in more details. So I think at this time, it has been about 90 minutes that I'm talking, so I'm gonna end soon. When I was presenting this presentation, Sister Yusra and other few dear friends, I'll say how we can use OPV or OIPA in Islamic psychology. Dear friends, now you understand OPV. Like, for example, Palestine issue is beyond Islamic psychology, or it's beyond humanity. So if we are being able to use for Palestine, if we are being able to use for understanding a very sensitive issue like women's sexuality, then we can use for Islamic psychology. For example, we all love, as Muslims, we all love Quran and Sunnah, but there are some words as mental health professionals or mental health researchers that are more to our heart. For example, I really love, I can't remember, but the words, but it says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. But for example, these words, I love it, like, because I didn't put here, it just came to my mind now. It's very lovely, right? It says the person, I'm gonna go brief. It says the person who not mentioning, who not doing zikr, who's not focusing, who's not reflecting on Allah, Allah is gonna make them forget themselves, forget themselves. We can go and discuss and try to understand from different perspectives. But you know what? Here's an issue. In the United States, in Turkey, we want students to get more into Islamic psychology or Islam in psychology or psychology in Islam, right? Or Muslim mental health. But sometimes we don't give them an option to focus and reflect on some core issues. And rather we say, Islamic psychology is this like, give them some research, give them some evidence, and understand how Muslims or non-Muslims are understanding some words of Quran, for example. So for example, these words is beautiful, right? Is it from Fussilat 4153? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبين لهم أنه الحق أولم يكفي بربك أنه على كل شيء شهيد. This is beautiful, right? It says, we will show them our signs in the universe and within themselves until it becomes clear to them that is Quran is the truth. Is it not enough that your Lord is a witness over all things? But the first part is very critical to me as a mental health professional. It says, we will show them our signs. We know Quran is a sign for ourselves, right? So we read the Quran and we try to see the truth in Quran. So the Quran is number one. And then the Quran says, the universe is a sign. So you need to read all the universe. You need to read the trees. You need to read the sky. You need to read the moon, the sun, the Jupiter, everything. The human walking on the ground, the human underground. And then I think that the last one is very critical within themselves. I think we are forgetting about this part. Like we are gonna look for signs to reach out to Allah, to go to that, to complete our journey in a meaningful and effective and functional way within ourselves as well. Like I'm very curious, what's gonna happen if we give this ayah to our students or to non-Muslims and say, this is a verse from Quran. As a mental health professional, what are you understanding from here? Like, and we can compare regular people and mental health professional people and mental health students, the students in the first year and the students in the last year. So we can see what they are perceiving out of this. So we can create a space for them to reflect, but it's not just a very superficial reflection. You are giving them what comes first to your word when you hear these verses. Brainstorm, just right. Second step, now take a time and reflect on these first words come to your mind about these words. And then take a photo that represents it. Now you project that time, you slow down that time, you give the brain and the whole body, the human, to really reflect and connect things together. And then you are asking them to really give you a very comprehensive story, narrative, following show, and then you are asking them to give you the heart of the story. And then, for example, the other verse is very beautiful, again, to invite people to reflection. And again, many other, for example, I mean, all the verses are beautiful, but for example, يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة, right? Or فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون, for example. Or for example, the beauty of Rahman, the chapter Rahman, what our students are gonna reflect all this. Or for example, when you attend some Islamic psychology, many people are talking about the stages of the self, right? Nafs al-ammara, we all know this. Nafs al-ammara, nafs al-lawama, nafs al-mulhima, nafs al-mutma'inna, nafs al-radiya, nafs al-mardiya, nafs al-kamila. Okay, we talk about this, and of course there are some minor discussions about whether it's 3, whether it's 7, but that's okay. But what about if we ask our students and say, what does nafs al-ammara mean to you? What does nafs al-lawama mean to you? What does nafs al-mulhima mean to you? What does radiya mean to you? Mardiya mean to you? Kamila mean to you? And for example, if you work with a client and you are working on the stages of the nafs, then you can say what you think today, or when you were talking about this issue, which stage of the level, the stage of the self you were in. You know, we as Muslims, we believe that those stages are fluctuating. For the moment, I can be in nafs al-ammara, and then a moment later, I can be in nafs al-mulhima. Or I can, a few moments later, I can be in nafs al-radiya, for example. We fluctuate. It's a spectrum. We go and come. Or we can ask people to explain to us what they are doing for the purification of the tazkiyah to nafs, right? Rather than saying climb a tree. It is the same. You can tell one of your Muslim clients, say, make your salah and it might be helpful, or it's gonna be helpful. Well, this is the same in terms of the form. It is the same to say climb a tree before you understand what is happening in the life of that person. So you can use OPV to say, bring your story to me this week, or this issue, or what do you think you can do about this issue? You think you are struggling in terms of the prayer, and you think you are struggling, and you nafs al-ammara is much more stronger at that point, and you are not being able to, you struggle to pray. So you can ask them to say, what does nafs al-ammara for that point, not being able to wake up for the fajr, or not being able to create space during the day when everything is busy and when everybody is running around and doing their secular thing and completing the papers, the research and money and etc. And you are not creating space to pray zuhur. What's happening? You can ask them. Or some beautiful things happen and they were able to pray, wake up for fajr. It is a great moment to enrich that story and say, can you follow OPV and bring a story? What happened? Like waking up for Fajr. What is the first thing came to your mind? Right? Blah, 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 blah. Now, second, take a step, take some time and reflect on a few of words or all of them, but focus on what were the most important factors that made you available to wake up for Fajr, and you prayed Fajr. and you feel energized, or you feel happy, or you feel huzur, you know, and then take a photo, and now come with show me. Now you have an evidence, you have a rich story. And in this way, we can support our clients, we can support our communities, rather than saying climb a tree, or go to yoga, or read some Quran. You know, it's easy, but we can use, or you can use OIPA at that state, and say, okay, not photo, but can we go through here, and what comes to your first and second, let's take a story, let's write. And now we have technology, right? Speech to text. You can just open your even WhatsApp and say, I feel this, I see this. You follow short acronym and you can write. And now it is written, it's spoken, and it's now concrete. And the person, the clients, the community is gonna feel much more empowered. And this is important for us. At the end of the day, it's not about how we feel that we have supported and we have contributed to the person, but it's about them, how they process, how they created space to go to in their self, as the ayah said, right? And reflect on their inner process, their feelings, their emotions, their behaviors, and all other factors, what they see, how that's related to them and their community, how we can move forward, what we can do for this. So I have shared many ideas. For example, I really kindly and gently and persistently, I'm asking all of us to focus on research questions using all innovative. Okay, please let's not use outdated methods for a topic that's very important to all of us. We can use OPV or OIPA to understand what Palestine means to people in our country, in our institutions. We can create platform. I'm working with Palestinians for years, dear friends. They are in the midst of unexpressed difficulties, and their story is, don't forget us, give us a voice. Of course, we are given a voice about tweeting and this, but what about walking along an effective way? If we don't do enough research, we are going to lose the narrative. We are losing on the ground as humanity in the West and in the Middle East, in Africa, in the Far East. We are as innocent people, whether we are Jewish, whether we're Christian, whether we're Muslims, whether we don't believe any belief systems, we are losing because we don't have well-grounded narratives. You are looking at the research studies on Palestine, and 95% is on Zionism. And they have founded their narrative, okay, through research. So they are using the language, right? Even they are very careful how they are wording things. So we can use OPV and OIPA to really create well-grounded and scientifically and spiritually and contextually and culturally sensitive and effective and meaningful research. And you can see many studies here. For example, we have some concepts in psychology in Islam or Islamic psychology, like concepts like qalb, aql, nafs, shaitan, and ruh. Like I'm talking to my students in Turkey, I'm saying like, as a Muslim, what is constituting a human being? And so, most of them forget about ruh, you know, like they say qalb, aql, they forget about nafs as well. This is the new generation, okay? I'm not talking about the old generation. I'm talking about the new generation. Unfortunately, that is the case. I'm at a public state university in Turkey, and even in the United States, when we were talking with the Americans in counseling department or other health departments, they didn't have about spirit. They didn't have a process, or they didn't think about a lot. So what we can do is, you know, sometimes curiosity is the first step to move forward. As we did at the beginning of this study, this presentation, we asked, we provided some presentation, published papers, and in-print, in-process papers. So we can ask Muslims, say, what does nafs mean to you? Maybe they have never heard. Can you go through the steps? Okay, you know, we are not asking them to go and do research. We are trying to understand what they know about this phenomenon. Even that question alone might make them to go and research about nafs. Of course, if you are doing an experimental study, then you need to ask them, please don't do any research on this, just stay in the control group or just go with the experimental group. But even if it is just a regular class, you can ask them, let's do an OPV or OIPA study on nafs, aql, qalb, ruh. And these are very important. We don't have to fly 100,000 feet above and say we are gonna do Islamic psychology studies. We need to go walk on the ground and do some practical work as well. Okay. You can see the other suggestion, and these are the main references for this study. Tanhan 2020 and Tanhan 2020 are the main, and Wang and Boris is the person who really put Photovoice as a method as the first person after Paulo Freire, but Paulo Freire, I think he had not published, in his books he has used photonovella, something like this, Photovoice, etc. But as researchers, most of the times we are going to with the manuscripts. So these are the main references for this presentation. And again, for ResearchGate account, again, in our community, most of us don't have ResearchGate account. Dear friends, I would really love to see all of us on ResearchGate account and we can follow each other. Yes, it will be great to have Google Scholar account as well. My email is there, my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook is there. And most of us in our WhatsApp groups as well, so we can stay in touch and collaborate for meaningful actions for all of us, inshallah. If we have time, because I think it's how many minutes? Oh my gosh, it is 105 minutes. Okay, thank you so much. I'm gonna stop here.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Dr. Ahmet. We really appreciate your time. Teşekkür ederim. Çok teşekkür ederim. We really appreciate your time, and I believe as much as others that have attended this lecture, we have learned a lot from you. And I would appreciate your innovation together with Dr. Robert for innovating the traditional Photovoice and trying to put it into online and making it more accessible to more people. As you said, it understands most facilitators and the bars in people's lives and the barriers in people's lives. And the main aim is to work with privileged groups. And I would comment in appreciation that it's such a flexible analysis, because it can be applied to all communities and it can be tailored to the unique perspectives of any communities. And I appreciate that it puts into consideration global concerns, difficult times, just like most of the facilitators examples you gave us were tailored on COVID-19 and the effects it has had on our communities. And I also appreciate that it allows individuals to express themselves and narrate their stories and share ideas during difficult times without, even when there is a problem or difficulty in people being together, sharing together. So brothers and sisters, it's time for questions and answers. We already have the questions in the chat box. Dr. Ahmed, if you can please, we ask you to spare a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, And I would like to ask you which way you'd like the question and answer session to go, because we already have the questions. So would you mind if I read all the questions, or I read one by one?
Sadba, what about if we end the session so people can go, and I'm gonna stay here for more 20-30 minutes, and we respond to those questions, because it had been a long time. So we can, if that's okay. For example, let's just respond to one question, and then we can give a break. I mean, we can officially end the presentation, so people can go if they wish. And if the ones have questions, and we can have in-depth discussion, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yes, Ahmed Hojam, yes, actually this session is recorded, so whoever needs to leave, please go ahead and you will have the questions answered, and we will upload this session on our YouTube channel. And if you have time to stay and just listen to Ahmed Hojam, you are more than welcome.
Okay, so make sure that if you really have some meaningful thing, take time to go. Sometimes it is really good to let things go and be able to leave things, you know. So we are not so rigid to stay that, okay, I said I'm gonna attend this session and I'm gonna stay till the end. No, you can go, and I think you can, and down the road as well, we can get in touch as well. So I think I'm seeing a question. It says, who is choosing the photos? So some people have responded, and it says, yes, the participant is providing the photo, because it's about their perception, right? So and it is a participatory research. So the person is providing the photo. But also, if the person, for example, during the COVID-19, some people say, I don't want to go out and take photo, I cannot, or there are some other issues as well. For example, they say, if you take a photo, then it takes your location, etc. Then they can download from the internet as well. It's allowed because it has 100,000 photos. Yeah, so the person is uploading, the person is deciding. The second question is, Assalamu alaikum. Actually, maybe can we use in the therapy? I think we have responded to that. So far, no one has used. I have used in my sessions, but we have not published on this, especially when it is very tight. And so I'm asking some of my clients, the ones who are not very good into identifying their feelings, their emotions, their bodily sensations, their thought process, or they are not good at creating space for themselves to write down and reflect on it, but they are very good to talk to you. Okay, if you say come to two, 3 sessions a week, they will say, okay, I'm gonna come, but they are not writing. So OPV is giving you a very practical and artistic. I came across a few clients who really loved the short questions and the flow. So yes, you can use in sessions, and down the road, maybe some people can do some studies how to use how they use OPV with clients. I know 2 psychiatrists whom got in touch with me and prepared their ethical IRBs. They are gonna use OPV to understand inpatient people, inpatient clients at psychiatric hospitals, asking them about their process in the hospital, and what is supporting them, and what is making the inpatient process difficult for the people staying at the psychiatry unit. Very good question. It says, is there a rule of thumb how many participants we should use? You know, this is a very good question. If it is regular people, if it is a topic that is very not sensitive, it is not very very small group, there's a word for that in psychology, I can't remember that. But if that is not such a group, then we suggest to go for 100, because 100 is always a good study in statistics. So you can easily say 2%, 3%, 4%, right? So we suggest 100 if possible, because it's much better. And if you move forward, go beyond 100, then it is the best. But imagine you are doing a study for people who have a self-suicidal ideation. It's going to be very difficult to go for 100 people, right? So for that study, you can go for, it's a minority group. So you can go as many as you reach out. For example, a paper is going to be out in a few months. We checked, I mentioned about that, the International Council of Educators in United States. We asked who are living in the United States, who are counselor educators, and who have been teaching in the United States for 5 years at least. And we reached out to just 9 people. We are 5 researchers because the criteria was very high. You have to graduate from a CACREP approved school, and you have to be international background. You have to have a PhD from United States. You have to be that. They could have reached out to more people with an international background, but that was our case. They reached out to 9 people, and they got 9 photos, 9 stories, and we analyzed those 9 photos because it is a very difficult group to reach out. So I think, for example, a group from Iran is searching MS for the moment. There are 3-4 psychiatrists. For their case as well, it's not going to be very possible to get to 200, 300, 400, even 100 is going to be very difficult. But for example, for the distance education, it's one of the top journals in the world. We published 2 papers in there, and one of them is with 300 counseling students, and the other is with 600 students. So because they are regular students. It's not asking students with a specific issue. So this is a really good question. It's based on your sample. It's going to be easy or difficult to reach out. I think one more question: how to access the missed sessions? Okay, this is, I think this is to IPRN. They are going to provide about this.
I also had a question, Hojam. I think
Okay.
you already read
Hojam.
the questions.
Yeah, you can go for the questions.
Yes, like this is from my side. I was just wondering because you mentioned, yeah, this is not a normal qualitative tool, but I still can't grasp this the difference between like an inventory or interview, like doing case studies. So what makes it really different? I mean, where is the point here? If you can just elaborate on this.
Yeah, seriously, right? You know, for example, you cannot do a study to understand 600 students' perception. For example, for the second Palestine papers, we had around 800 students. Can you imagine doing a qualitative study? Forget about the quantitative. 800 is an amazing number for quantitative even. But what about reaching out to 800 students from one single college? Okay, one single college. Like on our campus, we have about 10,000 students. What does that mean? It is like 1 in 10 we are reaching. It's like a student, you know. We reached out to 800 students to grasp their most meaningful action to contribute peace in free and occupied Palestine. This is a wonderful question. Okay, so can you imagine yourself using a qualitative method and getting them. And imagine the topic is sensitive. I'm living in Turkey. Not every student is feeling to talk about it. They say, tomorrow I might go to Australia, I might go to Europe, I might go to United States, I might go to UK. You know, these are the reality of the people. And let's be honest, they say, oh, tomorrow another government will come and they will, because the Zionist is well grounded. They say they are gonna see me, but if it were online or face to face, let's take like just one-to-one interview. How many years you are gonna complete this study? The transcription, these, and how you are gonna protect their voice. But OPV, we got in a week, you know, we got in a week. We were like 10 researchers. We distributed through online, and then 800, and you get the image. Like imagine when for the experimental study, at the pretest for the experimental group, you can see 80% of the photos are from unenjoyable, unwanted scenes. It's wars, it is exploitation, it is that, it is that, it is that. Like visually you can see, it is very rich, right? You can see what their brain is thinking, and it's a kind of a trauma. Also, since they have projected this process to a thing, it is by itself is helpful. As I have talked, we have to consider, we have to protect our participant, even if it's an explorative study. You know, you are asking, saying, what is Islamic psychology? You know, just imagine about when you are asking that question, what they are going to take out. It's important. So like imagine you are using OPV or OIPA, 800 students, and other methods. You cannot come together with 800 students. Most of those people will never ever accept. If even you give money, they will not come out and talk to you about what is their best meaningful action for contributing to the peace in free and occupied Palestine. I hope that one was helpful.
So yeah, as far as I understand it, you tried to emphasize that trying to protect the anonymity of the participants, and also the ability to conduct this online and reach out to people. And I think it's also about the questions themselves. During the session, you mentioned that these are very deep questions. They are not normal questions. So it's about the type of the questions that were chosen and just used in this tool. So I think this is also a significant aspect.
Also, Sister Visra, one of the key issue for OPV, we have stressed this a lot in all OPV papers, especially the first two. We said traditional Photovoice and traditional IPA and traditional qualitative studies and analysis are conducted with small groups. And that is the reason the world is seeing the qualitative study as weak, because they say, oh, you got 15 people's perception. Oh, that's important. But what about the other side is taking about 100, 200, 1,000, 300, 2,000, you know? Like this is, so with OPV, we're saying, let's take many people and also at the same time, many diverse people. Like a Muslim is using burqa and never give salam to somebody, right? And another person is using burqa and in the society, or another Muslim is not using hijab at all, but is not talking to any people in the society. From outside, you might say she's very social, she's very out there, but when you get into her life, you can see she's not gonna come and join a traditional Photovoice or a traditional qualitative study and share her experience with you. And also, even you conduct a qualitative study face-to-face and you say, I have $100 million, I'm going to conduct with not even 800, I'm going to conduct with 10,000 people. The time is very important, right? And the analysis is going to be how you are going to protect their voice. So many other issues will rise up, and people might not want to be out there. But with OPV, it gives you many advantages. You let them to be out there if they want to be stay anonymous, and you are taking as many diverse perspectives.
A beautiful, mashallah, Ahmed Hoca.
For the moment, I mean, photo is getting much more important difference. Like you can take a note of that. Even AI or even ChatGPT, they are like Instagram invested a huge money, and Facebook, huge money on the people's uploaded images to say, can I predict? Because the psychology is about the prediction and it's about change actually, but I don't love the change. It's about transformation, right? How we can transform people toward their values, not toward our values. But Facebook and Instagram, I think in one research, it was not very effective. They invested very huge money to say, Ahmed uploaded this photo, can I predict his mental health? So photo is very critical for us. So it also, OPV also gets an advantage compared to other qualitative studies or quantitative studies who are not asking for any visual or any images.
Yeah, and OIPA, I think the second method, which is actually not including photos, and also I think here also there's something at the analysis stage.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Can you explain this also a little bit? I mean, after collecting the data.
Yeah, that one, like imagine, we are talking about the trustability in research. For example, let's say you did a qualitative study, you interviewed with Aisha, for example, and you transcribed and you said, here are the themes of the story, right? You had 3 teams. Let's say you got 3 teams. Aisha might come a few weeks later and see your analysis and you say, your story was here and here's the team. She might say, it's not, it's okay, but I would have chosen different words. So OIPA is protecting, and as mental health professionals, it's very critical for us to protect. We forget about this point, to protect the voice, the experience of our client and participant as much as possible, and to share with them. At this step, the transformation starts. Because if you share, like let's say you use that for a research or for a client, and 10 weeks later they say, oh yes, that was my story and these are my heart. At that time that was yes. Now I'm gonna use different words. Can you see the difference and the transformation? But if you choose the heart of that story, Aisha is not gonna be related to that story and that process as much as the first case. And also it protects a lot, it gives you save a lot of time. Imagine you have to record, you have to verbatim it, and you have to read it, and you have to write your story for qualitative studies to say, these are my bias, today my mood is very bad, I got affected by the Palestine issues, and I feel down. These are and now I'm gonna read the story and I'm gonna make a meaning out of it. Can you see the practicality?
Yeah.
So, and it saves time. You can see, you say, okay, you have written element 3, great. Now you know the story, you contextualize that word and you move forward. A month later, 2 years later, if that's 22 years old female college student come, read their story and say, I have written these words, still she's gonna be related. And for OPV, you are gonna have an exhibition, you are gonna present at the community gatherings. So when people see their words, their stories, their photos, and their summary words as the heart of the story, now they are going to get more involved in that process. For example, when we are preparing that experimental study on Palestine, students, they say, "Oh, hocam, this is my story, these are my words." You can see their excitement. We don't know really who submitted, but they say it was mine.
Mm-hmm.
And time, time is very important. You have to, if you have 800 people, if you don't use OIPA, you need a lot money and a lot time and a lot attention to say, I'm gonna be very mindful and careful, sensitive, delicate to protect the voice of my participant, not my inner process. And it is difficult, really, it's difficult if you don't have the direct words.
Yes, Jazakallah khair, Ahmed Hojam. And I think more also details about conducting and reaching out to participants and conducting and analyzing the data can be found in the articles you shared at the beginning of the session, inshallah. And also we shared your accounts, Instagram and YouTube channel, and I think we'll also provide your email in
Yes, the email will be great because a few dear friends have posted their emails. I might not be able to get all of them. So if you email, and dear friends, if you email me, then I can share, and probably I can share as PowerPoint as well, because when IPRN shares, they share as a PDF. So if, for example, a sister, a brother want to present at their conference, or when they present, that they prepare something, they want to take something out of the presentation, so they can easily use. So it will be great to share the PowerPoint as PPT. So it's going to be much easier for them to read and copy and use as they wish.
Jazakallah khair for giving the permission for our participants to use and copy and from this from the slides, and inshallah we will do so. Provide the PowerPoint file by email, and share your email as well, just in case anyone needed to ask you or have any further questions. And thank you so much for your time today, Ahmed Hojam. And I hope all our, yes.
Yusra, Brother Jamaluddin, may Allah be pleased with him. May Allah give barakah to his life. Maybe we did not give his credit, but actually, if we are here, Alhamdulillah, first it is owing to Allah, Alhamdulillah. But sometimes some people really allocate their life to very meaningful things. So Brother Jamaluddin, Alhamdulillah, is one of them. And he has made available to all of us to come together to discuss and create this synergy, this motivation. Actually, he said last year, he said, let's have OPV Islamic Psychology group last year. This is last year, okay? It's all before this Palestine issue. He said, let's have OPV Islamic Psychology group, so only we can support our researchers to use this very innovative method. And I put a lot energy. For example, Sister Aisha, her paper is the 5th paper in one of the, she's psychiatrist in Africa, in Nigeria. Like Alhamdulillah, we met through ISIP. But inshallah, maybe down the road we can do this. And considering this difficult situation, may Allah again give sabr and help our sisters and brothers, whether they are Christians, Muslims, Jews, or non-believer in free and occupied Palestine, because they all get a really very tough situation, especially the sisters and brothers in Gaza. We can focus really on studies to use OPV, and this is going to be effective, inshallah. So maybe down as Brother Jamaluddin a year ago, he said, let's have this group. Maybe we can do that as well after this presentation, and if people are into it. But of course, I would also really love us to read those papers, to take some time down and go read a few papers. For example, if Sister Muqaddas is here, she read a few papers, OPV, and she's ready to move on a paper, inshallah. So when you reach out, dear friends, dear sister brothers, make sure that you read some OPV papers and you at least read them and have some break and then read them again and come, and then we can easily conduct studies, inshallah.
Inshallah. And all the recognition, of course, of Brother Jamal's efforts for gathering us and bringing us all together from all different spots around the world. May Allah bless him and bless the efforts. And yes, of course, Bismillah, we will make sure actually to make OPV part of the IPRN research at the Maqasid Methodology research, inshallah. And just before we close, because we have Brother Amir, he raised his hand, and after him, we inshallah can close this session. Please go ahead, Brother Amir.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khair, very nice lecture. May Allah bless you all. Now, I've asked a question on the chat. How much,
Brother Amir,
how you think this use of these technologies in health and in medicine can help us? Hello?
Brother Amir, Amir Hojam, very difficult to hear you.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Can you write the question, Brother Amir, because your voice is.
I already sent it through the chat. I put the question in the chat.
You have protected voice copyright. I don't know exactly what you mean with this. If you are talking about OPV copyright, no, we don't have a copyright for that. We are saying everybody can use it. As long as they reference in a correct way, and as long as they don't make profit of it, it is in the service of people to use for people. And
first question, can you use it in health and medicine?
Yeah, Amir Hojam, yes, we can definitely collaborate for that. If you look at my research gate, half of my papers are with psychiatrists, and alhamdulillah, we have a project now. It's gonna be very difficult for us, really. I'm working with some of the top psychiatrists in Turkey. Alhamdulillah, they are very good sisters and brothers, well-educated, well-trained. I'm working a lot with health professionals. So it will be great to get in touch in a private message if you get my email or if you provide your email here. And I can write my WhatsApp as well, because I'm very fast in WhatsApp. Please use my WhatsApp, dear old friends. Use my WhatsApp.
I put my email.
I'm gonna copy it. I'm gonna copy it, but it's lost. I didn't want to put into a presentation because the presentation is gonna be on YouTube through the slides, the videos. But we are in the groups through WhatsApp as well.
Yes, we can share the number on the WhatsApp, our info WhatsApp group.
Yes, that will be great, because we know WhatsApp is going to be very practical for us. And I'm out there to really collaborate with any sisters and Muslims. And Brother Jamaat, we are discussing a lot about this. I think I have so little right to complain about our Muslim researchers brothers collaboration. I put a lot of effort to collaborate, but I don't get that feedback. I don't get that return back. Like many researchers reach out to me to collaborate for OPV, they are non-Muslims. or they don't have an issue in their heart to focus on Muslim issues. They are secular. They might have a Muslim identity, but it's not their practical part. And that's okay as well. But it will be great to really collaborate with people who have a concern, who puts their head to their pillow at night and saying how I can contribute to Muslims and to all humanity through Muslims. Because we know Muslims is a community, as Allah says to us. It's not a regular community. It's a community to serve all humanity, to serve all universe through beauty, through beautiful and effective ways. And if we are researchers and if we are mental health professionals, well, this is our community as Allah ordered us. He says, construct communities who calls for beauty, right, and prevent the bad things. So we need to be an ummah of mental health professionals. It's not just ummah as general, the ummah as the mental health providers, ummah as the teachers, ummah as the leaders, inshallah. So as mental health people, then we need to support each other as well to support all other people as well. So yes.
Inshallah, inshallah. And this is our objective, inshallah, of this research network, bi'idhnillah. May Allah facilitate the path towards this one unit, one research community, bi'idhnillah. Barakallah feek, Ahmed.
Yeah, I think the last question, maybe last question, brother Rashid Hojam is raising his hand. Let's make this rough question, and for the question will be through WhatsApp, inshallah. Wa alaikum assalam, Hojam.
Just two things more technical. Number one, I had to leave because I'm part of another group where I had to have another meeting which is ongoing for 12 weeks. So I couldn't miss that, and I do a lot of interaction. Unfortunately, I couldn't interact with you because I was not here. So, would I be able to ask questions if anything arises once I've listened to a recording of it?
Hojam, the voice is getting cut. Can you write, or can we talk about your second question? The first, I understood you missed some part of it, and that's totally reasonable and understandable. You had another duty. But the second, Brother Amir Hojam, I got your point. Inshallah, I would love to, inshallah.
Bismillah. We can continue, inshallah, Ahmed Hojam, on the info group. I think you are part of our info group, IPRN info group, and people can also share their thoughts, their questions, and you can try to respond to them, inshallah, on that group.
Rashid Hojam, if you write, we can.
Yeah, sorry, I may have missed it, but if I'm part of Islamic Psychology number 3, does that mean that I'm part of the same WhatsApp group?
Yes, if you are in Islamic Psychology group, yes, you are a part of it. But if I'm not in that group, we have so many groups, right? ISIP 1, ISIP 2. Brother Rashid, if you write my WhatsApp, it is 1724-888-3990. I can share that again.
Slowly, brother, slowly. 1724.
Yes,
880.
Yes, I shared that again.
I'm sharing the info group link now, so people can just join our IPRN group via this link. Please do so.
If maybe you are not in IRPN group, you can. Yes. You are in ISIP, but not in IRPN.
I'm not in IRPN group. So is that the one that's sent now? Is that the one for IRPN?
Yes. Please. Jazakallah khair, and thank you so much, everyone, for staying until the end of our session. And barakallah feek, Ahmed Hojam, and thank you for your generosity, giving us plenty of time to answer our questions. And inshallah, we stay in touch with our participants on the research network. You are part and a great part of, great member of the IPRN scholars. And hopefully we also hope to see you at the last session next, inshallah, by the end of August. Please stay tuned and just wait to hear from us. We will definitely update you with other all the information needed for the last session. And we just close this session with the dua. Ahmed Hujam, if you can just recite dua for us, and we can close with that.
Okay, if anyone want to go for the dua, any other dear friends, sisters, brothers, hojams, any willing to make dua?
Make it, brother, and we'll add on at the end. Bismillah.
Okay. So I would say let's take again an inside self-reflection point to say, Alhamdulillah, we are taking breath and we are coming through this group. Let's acknowledge this. Let's get grounded, and these things not happening easily. So may Allah give strength and power and sabr to all our sisters and brothers who are providing all these avenues to all of us. And may Allah again give prosperity to Brother Jamaluddin. Alhamdulillah. And let's take a deep breath to also again remember the difficult issue, especially in Palestine and all other areas as well, the Far East, Turkestan, the Sudan, subhanallah. Let's and let's be mindful, say how we can collaborate without burning out, without exploiting ourselves with just unwanted and unenjoyable images and news and these and these and these. Yes, let's provide for space for them. May Allah help all of us to be conscious to not forgetting them, and also to take one more step to come together as mental health ummah and do some meaningful research to construct their narrative. We are losing from that. It's all about the narrative, really, because a person in the world, if they hear about the narrative in an effective way, then inshallah they are gonna stand for the justice. We cannot talk about the result. It's an imtihan. Yeah. And let's make a Fatiha for our martyrs in Gaza, in Palestine, in East Turkestan, in Sudan, in every corner of the world who are standing for justice and standing for humanity. May Allah send sabr to all innocent people, whether they are Muslims, Christians, Jews, or non-believers, standing for peace for all, inshallah. Al-Fatiha.
Yeah. May I add something, brother?
Yes, brother. As Jamaluddin brother says, he says, okay, now we have a few more minutes. If I hear you,
I'd like to make a further dua that, Ya Allah, let your power reign supreme in the world as it does, but let the effects of it be felt, especially in Palestine and all the other Muslim areas of the world. And Ya Allah, we make dua that the innocent must not suffer, and the transgressors must, in this dunya and in the next dunya, feel the power of your wrath, because you are, of the 99 names, over 90 of them are good and decent, and alhamdulillah, but 9 are left for those who are transgressing all your rules. Ya Allah, put your waba and put your anger on those who are doing the wrong thing, or even better, Ya Allah, make them on the path of Sirat al-Mustaqim, so that they stop doing all the wrong things that they are doing, Ya Allah. Jazakallah khair. And وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر بفضل جود سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
آمين يا رب.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله
وعليكم
وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.